Good evening. Today, as you see, we're having a live translation. So, comparing to the other my videos in English language made, but this time I will try to speak with live translation. And if something goes wrong with my language, with my English language, so really sorry for this. So today's our topic, very personal, very professional topic. And for me, it's a much easier topic is how to be successful Erasmus coordinator. Perhaps if you have studied in university, you perhaps know that there's such a professional guy in the university or in the faculty who takes care about the international relationships and takes care about the incoming and outgoing Erasmus students. This person is someone who cares about international relations and about internationalization issues in higher educational institution. So actually, I was that guy in my university when I was working as an Erasmus coordinator in the Faculty of Agrotechnology in Vilnius University of Applied Science. And indeed, that was one of my professional masks I possessed, and that was really special professional mask. I was working with Erasmus student with the international relation issues in my institution, and this professional mask was, I could say, that significantly different comparing to the other mask I possessed as well. The mask like as a project manager, the mask as a professional mask as a lecturer or teacher, or even researcher. So Erasmus coordinator was something different. And indeed, when you're coming to work as an Erasmus coordinator in your university or in any higher school, of course, you want to understand what are the expectations related to your new professional mass. What does it mean to be Erasmus coordinator? The professional person who works with Erasmus students and staff. So really understanding expectations from the different point of view, expectations from administrative persons, from your colleagues and chief's point of view. Erasmus expectation from the central office of Erasmus institution point of view. And finally, Erasmus coordinator expectation from the student's point of view, see, and the lecturer's point of view. So you see, there are a lot of actors at the higher education organization. They have significantly different expectation from Erasmus coordinator. So sometimes when you come to this position, you sometimes trying to understand which point of view is the most important. Who should I listen to mostly? More to the students, the expectation, to the administrative staff, my chiefs, or even central office of Erasmus coordination, because I was more departmental one. So there are quite different aspects of Erasmus work. So sometimes it's even difficult to perceive your working position, its values, its predisposition, how to start work successfully, yes? And indeed, I was working as a departmental Erasmus coordinator in Faculty of Agrotechnologies for many years. So this is really was for me was special. And when I was starting to be an Erasmus coordinator, I was trying to understand how to start this work successfully, from where I should start, and how to develop this position, reaching a certain level of mastery. And indeed, Erasmus coordinator from one faculty to the other differs. The Erasmus coordinator's positions from one faculty to the other differ significantly. And I could say the main differences predestines that the faculty where you're working in. And I was working in the faculty of agrotechnologists, Faculty of Agricultural Sciences. And this science area is significantly different comparing to the other. And for me, as international person, for me as international coordinator, was I could see clearly it was very challenging to internationalize the Faculty of Agriculture, internationalize the Faculty of Agrotechnologies, because of very different factors, the traditions, learning culture, uh, working staff, administrative staff, academical staff, and even students. So by starting, I should have collected a lot of international partners in the different European countries. And of course, collecting partners, searching for partners in other universities with whom you could cooperate in agricultural sciences is not so easy, because uh, if we speak if we could speak about the other professions like managers, lawyers, economists, engineers, even technologues, they have much better uh, popularity among Erasmus international studies, and internationalization level in those sciences are at much higher level, and at the agricultural sciences was much difficult to start cooperation in the Faculty of Agrotechnologies, and for many reasons. For instance, some staff cannot speak English, so how to start international studies and international cooperation if we don't have a lot of academic staff that do not know English language? So that's a very big obstacle for internationalization, to promote internationalization. But as my position to be as an Erasmus coordinator, I should have been thinking that I should have start something this internationalization process little by little. So first, what I did, I was searching for the international partners. I was writing hundreds of letters to the other universities and academical universities, and universities of applied science, trying to attract to our institution attention and start cooperating by exchanging at the first time, exchanging by staff, academical staff, and later on, once we are better prepared, exchanging of students. And of course, being Erasmus coordinator is like to say it's the person in the middle position between the administration, between central Erasmus office and other universities in other countries. So you must coordinate issues and to be very communicative, very cooperative, very open, very flexible in order to start this cooperation. And of course, not all the things are even dependent on me, because as a coordinator of Erasmus, I not only must communicate well with our partners abroad, but I should be able to represent my own institution from the best point of view. I must be able to represent the best we can do for our partners. How can we be useful for the universities from the abroad? And how can I attract university students or staff to our university? And indeed, it is not so easy task, because we must convince our partners that our program are advanced. We must convince partners that our staff are very competent, they are very innovative, and the study programs that we have are very progressive. So this is something that, in order to do so, we must be sure ourselves that we are competent, that we are progressive, and we will be able to accept staff and students and deliver them the best studies in English language. So you see that my work as a Erasmus coordinator was even bigger issue than position itself. I should work with my staff and the faculty to say, dear colleagues, let's do our best translating all our study programs in English language. Let's do our best to make a study plan in English, to make as much as modules in English as possible. And let's improve our English language. Let's be more international and more open and more flexible. So you see that I was trying to be, and I was such a link, international link, that was trying to make even changes inside of agricultural faculty. I was trying to communicate with different parties, academical parties, departments in the faculty, trying to make them more communicative, to coordinate different work between different departments in order to do preparatory work for internationalization of our faculty. And indeed, of course, I first things when I started to work as an Erasmus coordinator, I initiated translation of our website in English. We started to create one or other special learning module in English and propose for our students, also making leaflet, making posters, and doing other marketing work for attracting international partners into our university. So you see, starting work as a Erasmus coordinator in the higher education institution, and if institution or department haven't got many experience before, and if you are starting everything from the almost zero, it's even more complicated and it's even more difficult to do so. So in my case, that was really quite a challenging thing. But despite that, after many hundreds of letters writing to abroad universities, I finally got some feedback from the abroad universities like Slovakia, Nitra University, from Portugal, Beja University, Slovenian University, some Finnish university, Spanish, and even England universities, and later on from Italy. And of course, also we got more partners from Turkey, and we had some partners in Greece. So little by little, I attracted one or another more strategical partner university where we started to signing the bilateral agreements, and we started to communicate more actively, inviting the academical staff to the different international events. And of course, starting a cooperation between the universities in the frame of the Erasmus studies or in Erasmus internship starts usually by inviting their academical staff or administrative staff. And only later on, when the conditions are coordinated and prepared, you are inviting then students. So first visits are always for international academic staff or international administrative staff, and later on we proceed with the students. So each year in the Vilnius University of Applied Science, we organize international weeks where we invited different academical staff from the other university, where they have been giving the all week of different lecturing for our students. Also, our lecturers have participated also in international weeks abroad. So that was kind of a mutual exchange of academical staff between the universities. And of course, accepting academical staff, accepting lecturers during the international weeks, during the educational visits was the easier part of my work. Inviting our social partners to official meeting with the dean office, with the lecturers, organizing their cultural program, and so on. Much more difficult was to manage work with the students, because of that they are coming for much longer period of time, and in order to accept certain amount of students, you must be prepared well and prepare the educational programs, study modules, study plans for them, sign all the documents, and inform all the parties that will be responsible for their education or even practical internships, practice internships. So accepting students and managing their monitoring was quite more challenging, but at the same time, it was more fun because with the students, with the international students, we behave a little bit different compared to our students in the universities, because Erasmus studies, basically to say that, are more easy and not so strict compared to the usual studies in the university. And I think this policy is very similar in most universities across the Europe. That Erasmus studies are is something different comparing to the usual studies. International studies are more flexible, not so strict, organized, and it promotes very much international cooperation, mutual understanding, and intercultural learning. So, was Erasmus working as Erasmus coordinator was very important to understand those qualities of work. But of course, it differs. It depends country from country, and the style of working with the students, style of working with the staff also differs significantly, because one requirements you get from the students, from the staff that are coming from, for instance, Belgium, Holland, England, or even Finland, and other requirements you get from the more southern countries. And of course, when it comes to the more Western or Scandinavian countries, of course, they are maybe more strict on the program learning issues. And when it comes to the more southern European countries and universities, they are maybe more culturally oriented. They're more not so strict about the learning content and learning program, educational program, but they are interested more in the intercultural experience. So that was also, you see that there are some kinds of differences between the universities depending on the country. So adequately, I should have adopted different style of communication, different time of working, and so on. But basically saying that being as an Erasmus coordinator, being as international worker, is something was important at institutional level, and to be Erasmus coordinator is meant to be a total yes, to be a total yes, total devotion, total agreement and openness to other cultures, to other persons, accepting every situation very openly and very flexibly, even when the situations are really even tough or not easy. So I could say that this work was have given me a lot of experience and good disposition how to work with persons, with lecturers, with academics, and the students from very different cultural backgrounds. So that was a really interesting experience. And of course, me as a Erasmus coordinator have visited many countries. As an Erasmus coordinator, we have been invited to many institutions. So, for instance, very interesting visit to Turkey, Adnan Menderes University. We had very welcome visit there. To Portugal, Beja Institute, the Agricultural Institute of Beja. To Finland, Sinajoki University of Applied Science, and Spain, Valladolid. So that was really interesting experience. And when you come there as an Erasmus coordinator, you are trying to deal with your international colleagues from abroad. And you're trying to observe how do they work, how do they interact with people, how their offices look like, and how they organize their work. And of course, from one institution from other, it quite differs. But of course, a very good experience comes from the uh, my colleagues from the Turkey, from the especially Spain, from the Finnish universities, and of course, I saw that the most successful Erasmus coordinator are just very open, very positive, and energetic people. And I think that's of course it concerns your attitude issue. It's very important to have very positive and very energetic attitude, and to be proactive with your students, international students, to be proactive with your academical staff from foreign universities. So this energy and this energetic attitude expressed in many ways. It's how you interact with them, how you approach to them, and how, especially, how do you organize their formal part of staying, and also not less important, at how do you organize their cultural program, how do you invite them for a dinner, how do you organize their cultural environment, like going somewhere uh, in the lake by boat, or even accepting their international guests at your home, making some different dishes, communicating in non-formal environment. And perhaps that this non-formal or informal environment are very important aspect of Erasmus coordinator work. Not to be too official, not to be too serious, but let the real work uh, go on at informal environment. Let the communication to be more free and more easy among the partners. That's how to be successful as Erasmus coordinator. Not to be too formal, not to be too serious, but to be according to the situation, to be flexible and to be open-minded to the different persons, their needs, their problems, and their approaches to you. That's really very important. And of course, we could differ that I was working as Erasmus coordinator and I was working as a project manager. And of course, those positions are very similar. But of course, as a project manager was more complicated work, because I should have written a lot of projects, should have get funding and organize a lot of managerial work in order to implement one or another project. And of course, project managers' work is much more difficult and much more responsible. And for me, that's why for me work as an Erasmus coordinator was much more easier, because I got many experiences being as a project manager. So Erasmus coordination was like a more like a fun, but also it was important. We accepted many students during my work time from the different countries, especially from the Turkey, from the Portugal, from Spain, from Belgium. And so there was a very nice experience to remember now, especially from nowadays point of view. And of course, despite that I am not working anymore in the university, I really remember this time very warmly, very nostalgically. And of course, I imagine that the person that are working currently, that are working now during the quarantine situation in at international relation office is quite a sad time, because international mobilities are really restricted. And I imagine that there could be a lot of challenges developing even in international relation among the different kind of universities, or even doing any kind of projects. But let's hope that everything will get better sooner, and everything will be much more better for the international coordinators in the future. So, of course, that by saying that the best memories from my work, of course, as an Erasmus coordinator, I understood that Erasmus coordinator being as an Erasmus coordinator is like an art, and this is more like a style of life. It's not only your work position. You must be devoted 100% with your heart. You must love this work. And maybe for some Erasmus partners that comes to your university, they're really not so much interested in everyone in all academical content of your learning programs or studies, but they are coming to here to know you as a culture, as a person, and to experience different impression from the other culture and other environment. So this is very important to understand. And being as coordinator is meant to be a good person, to be a open person, open-minded, to be flexible person, and to be well-organized person that could be get the best situation for the guest from abroad. So this is my speech. I wish you the best this evening and see you in the next live translations.